There are actually very few specific platforms for language learners or for teachers teaching languages. You've got things like Edmodo, which now doesn't exist, and Google Classroom, but these are very generic. What I'm going to show you today is a platform specifically for language teaching made by language teachers. It's from a company in Japan. It's called Zengengo, and what I like about it is the ease in which you can set up activities for the students to do, particularly for homework but also in the classroom. You can set up grammar exercises, writing exercises, reading exercises, speaking exercises. Students can record their audio and share it, and then you can provide feedback to them. They can also do the same with video. It's actually quite a comprehensive product. It offers a lot of different things. It's a possible way of managing your students in one place. Another great feature of this website is that it works really well in one-on-one teaching. If you're a teacher and you want to set up a place for students to do their homework, and then for you to be able to listen to their homework, give them feedback, see the grammar activities that they've done, set reading, set homework, this is ideal. I'm going to take you through 3 of my favorite features in Zengengo. Really hope you like the video, and as always, if you do, please like it, please share it with other teachers, please comment on it, and of course join me on my YouTube channel. Let's get going, and as always, I've set out a menu system so you can jump to different parts of the video if you want. So I'm logged into Zengengo. Basically the idea is that you can create a folder for each class you've got. So I'm going to call this new class, and then what you can do is basically set up a whole series of activities in that class. And the really nice way that Zengengo works for simplicity purposes is you can just simply create an activity and share a link, and the students can then obviously click on the link, do the activity, and you get a complete record of who's done the activity, what their mark was, etc. So let's set up an activity for the students to do then. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on audio recording. We're going to get our students to do an audio recording, and I'm going to call this Introducing Yourself. Okay, so I write in the title, this is how easy it is to make an activity in Zengengo. I'm going to make this one a speaking activity. I'm just going to write in some very quick instructions what I want the students to do. So I've written in some really simple instructions there. I could even give the instructions through a video or through a audio. I've just written the instructions, but I can give the instructions in all sorts of different ways. And then I'm going to come down to here, and this is a speaking activity, but I'm going to set a time limit of 3 minutes, which I think is absolutely fine for an introduction. And the rest of the settings, I'm just going to leave them exactly as they are. And then all I need to do now is click on the save button, and the activity is ready. So when I click on that save button, what it does is it actually produces a link for the students so that they can now, with that link, do the activity. And you can see the activity here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as if I was a student, and we're going to see what the activity looks like for the student. So I'm going to click on that link. I'll log in then on another browser. So I'm just going to paste that link in so that we can access that link. And you'll see that it just brings me straight into the activity. I need to put my name in first. And then when I click on next, what happens is I get given the instructions, and then I can just click on this button here, and I've got up to 3 minutes to record myself and talk about my interest in learning English, my hobbies, my travels, my future plans. Now, of course, this could be in any language. I'm doing this in English, but it could be in Spanish, in French, in Chinese, in whatever language you're teaching. So I just click on this button here. Well, the reason I'm interested in learning English is because generally I'm interested in languages, blah, 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 blah. All right, I do the recording, I stop it. Notice I can record again, or I can play it back and just check it. So let's just check that everything's okay. Well, the reason I'm interested in learning English. Okay, so absolutely perfect. I'm going to submit that. And I'm going to click on OK to submit the assignment. So if I log back in as a teacher now, I can see that one student has submitted their work in introducing yourself. I've only got one student so far, but I can actually click here and view the list of all the students that have completed. And of course I can provide feedback. So if there was more than one student here, of course, I can just click here and then I can actually listen to that recording. So I can just click here and listen. And then I can actually provide feedback to the student here. I can just write what I want. And if I want to give that student a score, perhaps a percentage, I'd say 50%, then I can do that and then I can store that. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how does the student get the feedback? And I'm just going to show you a couple of ways that that can be done. I have provided a link below, and if you click on that link you can sign up and use Zengengo for free for 30 days, but also if you then decide that you wanted to pay for it, that link will give you a 10% discount on the monthly charge or the yearly charge of Zengengo, which comes out at around about $9 a month. But you can use Zengengo for a month for free to see whether you like it or not. So that link is in the description below. I've got all my classes here. I can click on my folders and see all my classes, and obviously we created this one called new class. I'm going to click on that and just come back to that class, and I just want to point out a couple of really useful settings when you're working with Zengengo. So with any group that you're working with, you can click here on submission settings and control the submission settings for your students. Now, there are kind of 3 levels. If we just want the basic details from our students, we can ask, for example, their name, and a good one is also to collect their email address. If you collect their email address, then you're able to send them back their feedback immediately via email. Collecting their student ID often is if they work in a school, if they're studying in a school, and they will probably have a student ID number, and you may want to collect that as well. The other option is to provide a list of students to a particular class. Now this is another way of working, and so if I click here, you'll notice what you need to do here is simply to add the student's name and their email address, and then you can actually register the students onto the course. That is another option that you've got open to you. And a third one is actually to get them to log in using either Google or Microsoft, and that is another option. Now for this next activity, what we're going to do is we're going to look at text gap fill. But like so many things in Zengengo, there are loads of different ways that you can set this up. You can set this up where the students listen to the audio and then try to complete the answers, try to complete the gaps, or simply that they read the text and try to work out for themselves what they think the gaps were. What I like about Zengengo is this incredible flexibility when you set up an activity, how you set it up. And I think this has a lot to do with the fact that this website was set up by teachers. If I jump over to an example here, what I've done in this particular article, in this particular activity, is I've simply pasted in some text, selected some words that I want to create gaps from, but I've also required that there's audio. I don't need to record this audio, it's all automated and uses voice activation software. So what I can do, if I play this for a minute.
Russell Stannard is a multi-award-winning educational technologist and founder of www.teachertrainingvideos.
And then obviously I can then start to try to complete the words, okay? Now that's just one way of doing an activity. What's so powerful is how easy this was to do. Let me show you. So if I click here on text gap fill, I'll do or more or less the same one I've done. So I'm going to Russell bio very quickly. Watch this. Now, I'm going to paste in the text first that I want to add, and I'll just grab something from my website just to save time. But obviously you can just paste in any text you want. This is the power. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to allow the option to listen to the audio. So I'm going to select a voice, and this voice will read this text out. Now, I've got lots of options there, as you can see, in terms of the voice that I'm going to use. different accents. It could be an English voice if I wanted. So it could be Brian if I wanted to do that. Now, all I need to do to create the gaps in this is to click here on OK. And then I just choose, well, which words do I want to be gap filled? So I'm going to say, well, I'll make that one a gap fill, that one a gap fill, that one a gap fill, and that one a gap fill. Okay, I'm just doing this really quickly. Of course, I could carry on if I want to just do a few more, and I can kind of, add as many gaps as I want. Once I've done that, I click on save. It's that easy. Now let's click or copy that link and let's log in now as a student and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to paste in now and log in as the student. Notice this is going to be slightly different this time because remember I've asked now to require that my email address is also added. So I'm just going to add my email address. Click on next. Notice that there's this gap fill activity, but notice also I've got the audio to listen to before I complete the gaps. So I can listen.
Russell Stannard is a multi-award-winning educational technologist and founder of www.
Now, I'm not saying that the voice is absolutely perfect. I think it's excellent. I think it does the job. I worked with it on many occasions. There are these days even better voice activation tools. I'm pretty happy with that tool. And then obviously the students would then come and complete their words. Now it is also possible to record your own voice if you wanted to do that as well. I didn't do that simply because it's going to take longer. Now there really are a lot of options as you can see, and I'm going to put a video on the screen now that goes through a number of the ones, for example, for grammar type activities that you can do in Zengengo. So let's take the audio recording activity that I first showed you and kind of take it to another level, okay? So I'm going to call this speaking model activity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set up a similar activity to the one that we previously did, but this time I'm going to click on audio and I'm going to leave audio instructions, and I'm also going to provide a model for my students to work from. So I click on the record button here. I've got up to 10 minutes. I won't record for that long, but just to give you an example of what I mean. Okay, the activity I want you to do now is to record yourself speaking. And I want you to talk around 3 different areas: a bit about your professional career, then some information about your hobbies in terms of sports, other interests, traveling, etc. And then if there's something unusual or quirky that you can tell us about yourself. Now I'm going to provide a model now that you can base your own recording on. So I'm a language teacher. I first started teaching languages in 1987. My first job was in Crete, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea, guys. I can actually model the language that I want to provide to my students. I'm going to click on stop. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to upload it. And I'm going to put name of recording. I'm going to call this model example. And then I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to get my students to record themselves for a maximum of 3 minutes. 3 minutes is plenty of time. So I'm going to limit it to a 3-minute recording and nothing else needs to be changed. I click on save. That creates a link. Now what we're going to do now is log in as a student and see how different this activity is. So I'm going to paste in that link, press enter. And it brings us into, again, notice now that I'm not just required to put my name in, but I'm also required to add my email address. I click on next. Notice that this time I've got to listen to a model example before I do my recording. So I can click here. Okay, the activity I want you to do now is to record yourself. So you can listen to the model, and then you can record yourself. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. And of course, the same as before, play it back, record it again, and if you're happy, you submit. Okay, now don't forget, this time the teacher has got the email address of the student, and so they'll be able to click, leave a mark, and then press send, and send that feedback directly back to the student. So if I come back now to the home page and come back to that particular folder, which is called our new class, you'll notice that there's now a new example of speaking model example. I can actually click on that example, click on view list, and I can give feedback. Notice this time that I can actually send the feedback to the student. And how do I do that? Well, obviously I listen, then write my comments here and give it any percentage mark here. So I've written a comment, I've given a mark, and I can click on this button here, send feedback. And in this case, first of all, you've got to click on save feedback, and then you can click on send feedback. And the feedback will be sent back to the email address that was provided. This is fabulous. Okay, really hope you liked that video. Loads more free videos on teachertrainingvideos.com. If you come over to the website, you can access all the content here on the front page, including my blog at the bottom of the page. And also, if you want to follow my work, sign up to my newsletter. You get updated with all the latest blog posts, the latest videos, the latest online courses, and the many free webinars that we run. Also, at the moment, if you sign up, there is a 14-part course. It's just one video sent to you every 4 or 5 days. A 14-part course on using technology in teaching and learning. You can also access the courses that I run here, and if you do want to contact me about me doing some training with you or with your organisation, you can contact me from the website. And thank you very much. I'll leave a few more videos on the screen now about tools related to language teaching that you might find really interesting.